Welcome to the Lifeline, a production of Simply BJE. The goal of this podcast is to build, inspire, and to empower our listeners through conversations on business, leadership, and mental health. We invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at www.simplybje.com/The Lifeline. Now, let's tune in for today's episode.
Today, we have a special guest, football coach, mentor, youth advocate, community advocate, preacher, social media influencer, Duane Williams Jr. Mr. Williams, how are you doing today?
Man, fellas, I feel so grateful to be with you this wonderful day. We've already been having some wonderful conversation in the backstage here, so I'm interested to see what we can come up with today.
Great.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Thank y'all for having me.
Welcome indeed.
Thank y'all for having me.
As I was reading off your adjectives, you do a lot. You do a lot for the community. What kind of inspires you to be that community role model?
Oh man, you think that's a light question? This is a heavy question right out the gate. So man, I grew up in church. I didn't have a lot of knowledge of the streets. My professional background gave me knowledge of the streets and things that people dealt with in the streets, and kind of gave me some worldly knowledge, if you would say. But what really got me into it was I remember growing up in church, and my church had a very good pulse on the community, very good pulse. And I must admit that as a young man, somewhere between the ages of like 11 to 15, it felt really good to be a part of things that made people smile, that uplifted people's hearts, that brought a smile to their day. And so I remember our church, my home church at the time, was very adamant about the young people serving from a community aspect. Now, of course, you grow up in some other form of churches, they want you to serve, in the service or do something in the service. But they were more adamant about us serving kind of in the background and from a place that we could not be seen, but rather we could learn. And I think that same hunger just stuck with me throughout life. It never deceased. It never died. It just grew. And then along with me attaching myself to other great people, I learned how to make it grow a little bit more and take it from there. Yeah.
So when you said your professional career gave you an aspect of the community, what was your profession? What is your profession?
So I was a Baltimore City police officer for 8 years.
Okay.
I was in the school system as a volunteer for about 7, but then as an employee for about 4 or 5. And so kind of working in those avenues. I've also had the pleasure of working with some human services agencies. So working around all of that gave me a really clear view of what the community was dealing with. Watch this, y'all, both negative and positively, right?
Okay.
It gave me a viewpoint of like what families were really dealing with, poverty, money, issues, things that were really happening both on the positive side and the negative side. And so I remember what those things felt like when my mom was walking, us through that. And I said, well, when I got the avenue to put my foot in the game or put my hands in the game, I said, that's what I'm going to do. And so got around some great people and put my hands in the game and said, hey, how can I help?
So within those roles, I'm sure you've seen young African men in a negative perspective. How did that impact you becoming this male mentor?
Man, what's so funny? When you looked at most of the African American males in the negative sense, and you stopped for a moment and you looked at their root, you saw that they were missing something. Whether it was the father figure, which I missed from the ages of 12 to now. My dad passed away when I was 15, but he wasn't present at the age of 12, and up. So I saw like they were missing father figures. I know how that felt when my father wasn't around. Many people don't know this. When he passed away, I was able to give a speech at his funeral, and I was 15 years old, and I cried the entire way through. Now, at 15, I didn't know what I was crying for, but I realize now what I was crying for was I was looking at the future and how much I would need him and how much I would lack in him not being present.
Wow.
Wow.
And so when you're a cop in a uniform and you see a young man going through domestic violence with a young lady and you know it's wrong, but in your heart, you know, like that's not really where he want to be. He hasn't been given proper guidance,
Right.
right?
Right.
When you look at the 6-year-old in first or second grade who's given a teacher or cussing the teacher out, you go, ha, he don't want to be this dude. He just hasn't had the proper guidance.
Mhm.
Mom is working 2 and 3 jobs. She can't run to the school every time the school is, excuse me, calling her. You look at these dynamics, you place yourself in those dynamics and go, this is me. But the
Mhm.
only difference was, the only difference was I had brothers like yourself who grabbed a hold of me before I could reach the dark places.
Mm.
Yeah.
Great, great, great. That's
And
That's powerful.
this is where the challenge is for us, man, because I ask brothers all the time, is there not one black male somewhere in your space that you can't give all of your resources to? And I
Yeah.
ain't just talking about words of advice. I'm talking about your money. Can
Right.
I dive into that for a minute? I
Good.
had men who came into my life. I needed money from them.
Mhm.
And they weren't afraid to share those resources because they knew that I was trying to go somewhere.
Right.
When I
Right.
look at men, whether it is me being in uniform, whether it is me being in the school system, whether it is just me being a pastor, whether it is just me just being regular Dwayne, oftentimes I see the root of the problem before I really see the problem at large.
Mhm.
And that's where I try to give grace. That's where I try to open up a lane to say, okay, yes, this is wrong. Accountability.
Mhm.
But after accountability comes love. And I think too many people have a lot of accountability, but they have no sense of love to follow
Right. Right.
it.
Man,
Mhm.
That's good, man.
you're in a very powerful position because as a man and as a black man, you've been a police officer
Mhm.
Yes,
and you're a pastor. Those are two P's other men really don't want to be bothered with.
you don't want to be bothered with it all.
Right. And you have a unique platform where you can influence those men to come to church. And, I don't want to say this as simple as not be afraid of the police, but as a black man, that's one of the things or men they don't want to deal with.
To at least get them to understand the rules of engagement when dealing
Right.
with
Mhm.
police. Yeah, because I can't take
Right.
away anybody's fears, but I
Right.
can educate them on the rules of engagement. Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah.
That's important. I can relate to something that you were saying is, when you're 15, while you were crying because you were like thinking of the future, how much you were going to need. I went through that in my early 20s, when I finally got out here and I was like, man, and my dad never been around. And so I was like, man, Lord, how am I going to do this? You know,
Mm.
I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be a man. I don't know how to be a father. I had kids at that time, and man, I was a mess for a little while because I was just searching for that. And so it's great that you use that pain, if you will, to as a platform and transform that into purpose. And one of the things you talked about as far as, having other men. So you touched on it a little bit, but why do you think it's really important for men to be willing to build other men up? You know,
It's not like it. Let me stop there.
yeah,
There's nothing like it. Um,
yeah.
I wanna go here. Um, I give credence and honor to women, especially Black women, who have had to endure a lot. I think oftentimes we don't think about what the Black man has to endure but we're ready to give him so much responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You say, in order to be a great husband, you gotta be a provider, you gotta be emotionally intelligent, you gotta be this, you gotta be that. Well, in order to be a father, you gotta make sure you show them this, you gotta make sure you show them that, you gotta make sure you show them this. Well, in order to be a pastor, you gotta keep your hands clean, you gotta keep your mind clean. And when you stop and think about this, when we go back to just slavery alone,
Mm-hmm.
we were destroyed emotionally by a group of people in this country, then given freedom and say, now go act like you know how to do it.
Mm.
Right. Mm.
I don't think that people stop to think about that, like what that does. Because can I be honest? The cries at me being 15 years old for thinking about the future of my father not being there, it also affected the future because the love that I needed from him, I tried to solidify in attention from multiple different women.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
And see, when we're talking about roots today, because I keep going back to that word,
Mm.
I don't really think people understand roots. And this is the reason why it's so important for a man to have a man, because that man helps that man deal with the roots. And can I be honest? It's not going to always be easy because if I haven't been shown a healthy man, I'm not going to be receptive to a healthy man.
Yeah.
So sometimes what I got to do, y'all catch this. I coached this year. Many of those fathers didn't know me from Adam and Eve. It was their first time. Of course, in sports, men, children, they competitive. People competitive. Everybody's son is the next Barry Sanders, Emmett Smith, Deion Sanders, right? Fathers sometimes on the field, on the same team, will say stuff to each other. But you know what's so crazy? I would walk down there and grab one father, like, come here, take a walk with me, let me talk to you. Just a normal conversation. I didn't tell him about Jesus yet. I didn't tell him he was wrong. I didn't tell him, oh man, I validated his feelings for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was receptive to hearing my correction. You know what happens? It's because I understand the root of a man. When you don't understand the root of a man, you can't properly address the man.
That's
And there
good.
are, hear me, brothers, because I'm going to say this, because y'all brought me on this podcast. Y'all had to invite me back. Hear me. There are both men and women who don't understand the root of a man because even their manhood is questionable. And they think because they are just faithful to their wife, they understand manhood.
Mm.
Let me denounce it right now. You understand manhood when you understand the good, the bad, the ugly, and indifference about a man. And what makes you wise, because it's one of my favorite scriptures, Byron. The Bible says, I will make you wise as a serpent,
Mm-hmm.
but harmless as a
As a
dove.
dove. Yeah.
What is that wisdom? Why would you make a comparison to a serpent? Because a serpent knows how to get in the environment that you can trust them. And after you trust them, they can plant their venom. Well, it's the opposite when you're good. You get them to trust you, and then you can plant seeds of goodness, seeds of growth, seeds to tear up roots so that they can become better. And I don't think that people really know how to do that because
Yeah.
I feel like we live in an age where everybody just wants to be and wants to say, wants to tweet, wants to IG, but nobody really understands the depth of the work.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question, those brothers who grabbed me, why it's important, they understood the depth of the work. They brought me to their house. They gave me food. They wasn't on no pedophilia. They wasn't on no inappropriateness. They gave me keys to their house, man. I'm not their biological son.
Yeah.
They gave me access to their cars. And you know what that did for me? It made me see like, oh snap. It's a big world. I'm not saying when you meet a young man, that's the first thing you give them. I'm saying you meet a young man, you grow, and as you grow, you open them up to resources because what that does is it's going to change the trajectory of them.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, so what you're saying is, to me, is community impact, because as you start to change men, it begins to change our community. Would you agree? You know?
I would wholeheartedly agree. I was invited by like a preschool. I
Mm-hmm.
did it for 3 months, and I wish that they would start it back up. For 3 months, every like Wednesday or Tuesday, I would go to a preschool in their basement and meet with 8 of their fathers. When I tell you, sometimes we was having tears, we was praying, we was talking. It was one of the most impactful things when those fathers would come up to me privately, and I'm younger than them, man, with no children. I don't have no children. Children. They would come up to me and be like, man, everything you're saying is making me think differently. But you know why that was? Because it was the brothers like you who grabbed me early, put something in me that I was able to give to them.
That's
Yeah.
powerful. That's powerful. You know, you talked about those two fathers on the field, and as I think about that, you were talking about roots earlier. One of the roots of that is that men are not taught how to complement and to collaborate with one another. We're trained to compete with one another. So,
Okay.
why do you think that is, and why do you think that there's such toxic behavior that perpetuates that?
Well, let's go back to slavery. You gotta can I be transparent on this
Please do.
podcast?
Please.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Please.
absolutely.
You got a house nigga and a slave and a field nigga.
Here we go.
And so there's competitiveness right there
Baltimore.
because
That's Baltimore coming out. Keep talking though.
Yeah.
it is. It is. Here you go. You got a field cat. I'll be nice and I'll use the word cat. You got a field cat.
Oh, you in there already? So
Right. Go for it.
You got a field cat that's snitching. I mean, I'm
yeah.
sorry, you got a house cat that's snitching on the field cat, but the
Hmm.
field cat is the one putting in the work.
Yeah.
And so it created competition, right? It created this competition that says, "Oh, I gotta go at you. I can't work with you."
Mhm.
You know, I'm going to say this as an example. Coaching football,
Yeah.
I had some men who I wanted to be a part of my coaching staff, but their time wouldn't allow them, and they would have. So the director of the program said, "Hey, man, I got a cat for you. His grandson gonna play." Now I didn't know this cat from Adam and Eve. I'm like, "Oh man, how this gonna work out?" So I say, "Hey, okay, give him to me. I need the help," and it worked out. I'm giving you that story because as men, if we're not open to possibilities, we will also close ourselves to another level.
Absolutely.
And because of his help, I was able to be and do and be somewhere else when I needed to be somewhere else. I don't think that we understand being open to something, seeing something first before we make a decision like, no, no, it's not a no, it's a yes. Let me see.
Hmm.
But then if I
Hmm.
see something that's incorrect, let me have a conversation with you.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
You have to learn how to be a over communicator as a person. And when
Correct.
I
I
hear
agree.
people scream, I hear people scream, men don't communicate and people don't communicate and da 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 da. And ladies, if y'all watching, I hear y'all say it sometimes. Men don't communicate. But you know what's so funny? Y'all don't communicate.
Hmm.
He going
You,
down a different block.
I'm just addressing it. I'm just addressing it
Yeah.
while I'm here
Right,
because
right.
you'll go on a date with a man that you don't like after the first date, but you won't tell him no thank you. You just won't
Right.
respond to him no more.
Hmm.
That's a lack of communication. And so I think we just all have to be fair to each other in saying, okay, hey, let me have a couple conversations with individuals before I just cast the individual off. So before I say no to this man helping me who's trying to do something positive in the community, I'm gonna say yes to it. we ain't getting paid for this. And he want to give his time?
Right.
Come on over,
Mhm.
man.
But
Come on
listen
over.
listen to this though. Something else that you said about your leeriness about this man. There's something else about men. We're also taught to be skeptical of one another. And
Mm.
I saw this firsthand when I was in Dallas. I went to the As a Man Thinketh conference, and the first night they had a game night. It was incredible. We walked in, and I could see people sizing me up, and I don't even think they realized they were doing it. But when you walk into a room as a man with other men, they start sizing you up immediately instead of
Mhm.
embracing you. And so that really goes back to the root again of skepticism. Why do you think that is?
But
We
before he
need
mentions that,
confidence.
this guy, you're coaching what age group now? What age group you say you were coaching?
Five, five, four,
So
five.
so that is so imperative because when you can coach and motivate kids at that age to be competitive but yet support a teammate, that
Mm.
creates a different mindset than just a man being out here. I see men who are
Mm.
part of teams. You can still support a person, Barry. I can size you up when you walk in, but I still my sizing you up is I can use him. I can.
Mm.
It's not a. I
Right,
don't need him or I'm
right.
trying to go against him. As a team player or playing on a team, I can utilize those particular skill sets that I used when I was on the team to grow and to continue to enhance relationships with men. That's why it's so important when you're coaching kids at that age. You're building that in those young men early.
Yeah, that's good.
Let me piggyback off of that, and Brian, I'm going to go back to what you asked. But to piggyback, that's exactly what I did. I did not have 4 and 5 year olds want to do a whole lot, but I never had all of them coming up to me and asking me, "Can I run the ball? Can I run the ball? Can I run the ball?" Later on in the season, they did because they saw their other friends getting touchdowns, so they wanted to get a touchdown. But when it first started, because you know what I was drilling? Teamwork. And I never made one position higher than the other because it's all important. Come on, guys, let's
Right,
talk football.
right,
Mhm.
If
right.
there's no blocker, there's no running back. If there's no blocker, there's no protection of the quarterback. If there's no blocker, you can't move the ball. You need people that can block. So my language was always lifting every position up. It was
Mhm.
never just lifting one up above the other. The quarterback is not more important than the five offensive linemen. The running back is not more important than the five offensive linemen. The linemen are just as important as the running back, and the running back is just as important as the quarterback. Why? Because we're all a team. We don't drive that word teamwork enough.
Mhm.
And so to answer Burns' question, I think that when people do the opposite, where they size you up not for the good, it's all because of confidence.
Yep.
I don't care if I'm the shortest guy in the room. My confidence is going to be higher than all the height in the room because one, I'm secure in who God made me. I know that what I can do is what I can do. I know that what I can't do is what I can't do. And I know who I am as an individual, both good, bad, ugly, and indifferent, right? And I think to teach that, going back to that word root, to teach that, we need men who are established in those ways to teach that to men and young men who haven't quite gotten there yet. So the breakdown for them men sizing you up is because no disrespect to the ladies, but they probably been in a household with a bunch of women.
Mhm.
They probably been in a household that couldn't teach them how to have man confidence.
Yeah.
That's good. Yep.
They probably been in environments where uncles didn't teach them how to have confidence. Uncle taught them how to get girls.
Mhm.
Right, right, right.
They taught them how to have the confidence to get girls, but they didn't teach them how to have confidence when they come around other sharp brothers on a podcast, when they
Mhm.
come around other thinkers, when they come around other intelligent men. They didn't teach them how to have that kind of confidence. They taught them how to have enough confidence to get the number, to get the
Mhm.
attention,
Right.
but never teaching them how to have their confidence in saying, you know what? But you may have more degrees than me, but I'm confident enough in who I am that
Right.
me and you can both sit in this room together.
Wow, that's powerful. So, what are some practical ways to implement that? Because as you always said, since we started, you talked about roots, and I think that is the root to changing our community. If we build us up as men, so what are some practical ways you think we can implement those and change the narrative?
Question. A beautiful question. Number one, if there are fathers in the household who have sons and you are present, the energy that you give to your wife in dating her, date your son.
Mm,
Mhm.
mm, mm.
Take him out and really have real conversations with him. Don't be Stone Age because your father didn't do it. Or my father didn't do this. Or my father didn't do that. Nah, it's a different age, my man. You gotta teach that, right? If you are a mother, and I say this loudly with no pun intended, if you are a mother, I know you're strong. Thank you, Aretha Franklin, for raising your sons. I get it. However, I need you to find your son a male trusted mentor. Make no mistake about it. I need you to, there are a lot of things you're going to be able to do for your son. Yes, I agree. But there are just some things you cannot do for your son. And if you got a problem with their podcast, you find me and DM me and tell me what your issue is. Don't take it out on them. You find him a male mentor.
For the
That's
record,
good.
we agree.
Yeah,
that's good.
whether
Yeah, definitely.
whether that's at school, whether that's at church, you walk up to some man and you tell him, "Hey, I'm not trying to hit on you. I'm not trying to get with you. I need a male mentor for my son. Do you think you can help me? What is a schedule that we can set so that you're consistent with him? Can you be consistent? I'm willing to give you $50 a week so that if it's any activity that you want to do with him, you're able to have it or whatever. Whatever it is. Number three, y'all ready for this? Pastors and churches. I know churches are filled with 90% women. They're not going to like me for this. And I know that they are the big tie paying people because the church is filled with women. But if you don't build up your men's ministry from an authentic and transparent place, you will never have more men join.
Yeah.
Churches, stop always preaching against the men and talk them up so that they can come up. It is a way to give accountability, but accountability doesn't have to sound like you're taking a pitchfork and ripping it through their stomach. Because we already getting beat up by society. We already getting beat up by the world. Then they come to church and get beat up too. Because 90% of your women, because 90% of your congregation is women and they tithing, and so you got to be more nice to them? Absolutely not. Because if you believe God called you in the ministry, then God will sustain the ministry if you really believe that. So start talking up to men. Start building them in, right? And then I wanna also be fair in the conversation. Men, you got to be honest that you got a problem. And you got to be honest that you need help and that you want help. And let me be clear, everybody is not a safe space. So look around a little bit before you decide who you can divulge to, who you can give to. Because I know we have this narrative in society, and I want to break this narrative that men don't want to do right. They this, they that, they that, they that, they that. It's false. A lot of men just hurting because we got a lot of years of baggage on us. We got slavery on us, no fathers, no mothers, the economy, work. We're not the first pick when it comes to jobs, right? We're not the first pick when it comes to employment. And so we're trying to navigate all of that. We need people who can speak to who we are without being afraid of the backlash that they might get because they're standing up for the male species. So I think some of those things will help. And then I'm gonna be honest, every sharp man who say that they are a man, because I'm gonna tell y'all something. This is my own personal feelings. Um, I am so leery of a lot of black male influencers
Mm.
who talk about black male empowerment, but I don't see you mentoring or sharing your light with any other black male.
Wow.
The
Mm.
first people I see you smiling with in pictures are Caucasian men. Y'all might think I sound racist. Call me
No,
what
that's
you
real
want.
talk.
Call me what
That's
you
real
want.
talk.
I'm about to get a new Duane for 2025 because I'm tired.
Right.
I'm tired of African American male men who are doing well, but you don't pour back into another African American male. And the first person I see you taking pictures with is Caucasian men. This is my brother. He doing well. How about you help him do well so that he can become a better person, so that he can do well, so he can bring his family up, so that he can get out of poverty, so that he can do some things in his life. It's like, what? What are we doing here? What are we doing? And it really bothers me because I see so many of these African American men who talk about, oh, I'm uplifting my community. No, you're not. You uplifting women.
Mm.
You ain't uplifting your community. You uplifting women. And you like the attention from women because they all flocking to your page because they know you single. You ain't uplifting no man. You uplifting women because that's what's bringing you your revenue. That's what's keeping your likes going on social media. Go get that man that you see. You can't go get him because you're intimidated of him because you know if you give him the opportunity, he has the potential to fly beyond you. And so
Wow.
we need men who will put their foot in the ground and say, I don't care if you fly beyond me. I just want to help you get to flying. I want to help you get to flying. I see that your plane is landed. I want to help you get to flying. The Lord knows He can't give me $1 billion because I'm gonna find at least 4 black men. What you got going on? Are you honest? Tell me the truth. I don't care about your past. Just tell me the truth. If you tell me the truth, I got you. Here we go. I'm gonna put into you because I just believe that if I create a stream of wealth for another black man, then guess what? He creates that wealth for his family.
Mm.
Can we be honest? Can we be honest? Do you see them sharing the pot with us? They
No.
they don't like each other sometimes, and they will go and work with each other. Every Republican don't like Donald Trump. But
Hmm.
guess what they was true to? They was true to their party because they made up in their mind they don't have to like you to work with you. We gotta like you to work with you.
Hmm.
Not no more. Not no more. You good? We understand the lines. We understand the boundaries. Here's the contract. Let's go. Let's go get it.
Let's go get it.
We got to change those kind of narratives, and we've got to
Mm.
do some reproduction in how we handle, black men. And I need, everyone. I need fathers. Another practical thing. This is my last one. I need fathers who have sons who are in elementary, middle school, and high school, and um, you're doing positive things in his life, and he got a young man coming over to your house to spend the night and to play the game, and you see that his mother is single. I need you to take charge of that young man.
Mm.
Mm.
I need you to invest in him like you invest in yourself. Can we work the Bible? Love thy neighbor as thyself. I
That's
need, I
right.
need you to, I need you to, I need you. You got a son, you got another son coming to your house. You know the mom is single. I need you to invest in it. I need you to call her on the phone. Hey, I got him. I'm gonna take them. I got it today. Oh, no, I got it. I need him to see that you care about him as much as you care about your own. Y'all know why I'm talking like that? Because I
Mm.
wasn't their biological son, man. They
Right.
could have eat. They took care of me like I was their biological son, and they never shortchanged what the kids got, what their kids got. I got. Christmas, I got. They got, I got. Birthdays, they got, I got. They didn't shortchange me. So,
No, that's powerful, man. I was having a conversation with a lady yesterday, and she's a client of mine. I've known her. We've become friends, and we were having that conversation about, boys needing to be around other men, how important it is, because there's just something about being around the essence of a man that a woman can't give him. Right? You can teach him how to pay bills, be responsible, go to work every day, but there's just the essence of manhood and masculinity that you can only get from being around another man. Right? And so, because we're having a conversation about his father, and she's like, he crazy and stuff like that. I said, that's okay, right? You may think that, but he needs to be around his dad so he can understand the essence of manhood, right? With that, so it's extremely important. So I want to just ask you this as we start to kind of wrap this conversation up. But ultimately, what is your greatest concern and desire for our men?
one of my greatest concerns with society is that we are uh, demasculating African American men. Um, it feels like that we have to tiptoe around African American queens. It feels like we have to tiptoe around the professional environment because if we say something, we're too aggressive. If we make a comment, we're too this. Um, if we've done something wrong in a relationship, we are manipulative and gaslighting. And I think some of those words apply in certain instances, but they don't apply in every instance. No, he
Mm-hmm.
just messed up. He didn't manipulate you. He didn't gaslight you. He just didn't do right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I feel like we are using so many words to describe our African American men that some apply in some situations, but I feel like we use them in every situation. And I think we've got to create a space where men who are struggling and wanting to change can say, I want to change, I'm struggling, but I don't know who I can trust to tell what that feels like, right? So I'm afraid that we're demasculating African American men. Uh, I know people are saying, oh, African American women are at the bottom of the totem pole. I beg to differ. And you guys can email me about that. I beg to differ. I believe that African American men are at the bottom of the totem pole. When it comes to professional environment and jobs, either we have to be entrepreneurs or figure this thing out ourselves, because in the professional environment, we are not the first to be hired. And we are, and we, let's, if we having the
Yes.
time, let's just be real. I
Yeah,
can't
no,
wait to
you're
top
real.
this.
I'm
You're right.
chuckling because I'm feeling that myself at this particular time. So you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't wait to chop this up and put this on my page because I pray it challenge the hearts of people to know, like, yo, we recognize that we can do a better job at taking care of our Black queens, but we can't do a better job at taking care of them if we always at the bottom of them. We don't have to be at the top of them. We need opportunities to come up, and we don't have those opportunities anymore. When you look at males who are mayors and governors and senators, the first people they hire are women. They don't hire men to work for them. And I started asking myself this question: why? Are they intimidated that you possibly can learn something and then overthrow them or take their seat? These are the questions that we ask. So I need for society to stop coming after African American men like we have not had to struggle to get where we are. I need African American men. Can I say this? Because I've been in therapy now for about 2.5 months, personal therapy, right?
Good stuff.
I need African American men to go to therapy. And I don't care if you got to cry on the couch every day until you can start saying words. I need you to go. It's helpful. I mean, it has given me a new outlook on life and at different scenarios, right? I need for you to go. I need for you to go. I don't care how much you think it's a punk move, a sucker move, a chump move. It's not. It's a smart move. It's an intelligent move. It's a helpful move if you want to be helped, right? I need for every African American male to find one male. If you're 50, find somebody that's in their 30s and down. If you're 40, find somebody in their 20s and down. If you're 60, find somebody in their 40s and down that you can invest in wholeheartedly. And I'm not just talking about money, I'm talking about like words, opportunities. You get invited to a board meeting, ask them if they want to come. Because my thing is this, if you keep asking and they keep declining, at some point in time, they're going to come see. But never take away the opportunity because they ain't going like that. They ain't going like that. I want to say this, and I know we're going. I remember
Mm-hmm.
working for this company, and I don't want to put their name out, but I remember working for this company. We were mentoring boys, and I had a conversation with the CEO, black male. Had a conversation with the CEO. Said, "Man, I think I would be better suited for this position." And he looked me in the face and he said, "Well, I mean, I don't think so. I think that's too easy for you." I said, "Well, give me an example of what you mean is too easy for me." He gave me no example. But what I realized was no matter all the healthy spaces he'd been in, he still wasn't healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Can I tell you why? Because subconsciously, he still viewed me as a threat. If I let him get in this space, he gonna be the face. His energy, his command for the room, his he gonna become the face of something that I want to be the face of. And so the problem with that is if you don't see a person as helpful, but you see a person as harmful, you can never help them up.
Right.
You can never help that black man up because you see him as hurtful and not hurtful because he's going to do something damaging, hurtful because your ego won't be applauded. Your pride won't be applauded. This the same problem. This the same problem we got in churches. Many people should have made some of their people assistant pastors, but they were afraid because he might steal my church. So then the question I got is it your church or is it the Lord's church? I know you the under shepherd, but is it your church or the Lord's church? Because if they really for you, people can't steal what's for you.
Mm.
Watch this. And if they can manipulate people, then they really not for you because that means you haven't taught them how not to be manipulated. So we got some challenges as men we got to work through both personally, both socially, and professionally. But I feel like if we all help, I love this guy Barry. I'm just meeting you two guys, but I love this guy Barry. Divulged some information to him the other day. Ever since I divulged that information, man, you all right? You good? Just checking on you. To me, before he could give me anything else, that go a long way. Because I just want to know that somebody on the other end is like, are you okay? Even if it's my fault, are you okay?
Yeah.
That's the place we gotta get back to. But we in a society, we're not at that place. We're at a place where I'm gonna cut you off, I'm gonna slice you up, I'm gonna make you feel it, I'm gonna throw you underneath the bridge. And I promise to God, this is the worst I've ever seen society, where it makes me not want to deal with nobody. It makes me want to just live in my little bubble, in my space, and keep it moving. Because this society is a cut them up, chew them up, spit them out.
Yep.
We have no sense of let me understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, none.
Yeah, man, this has been a powerful conversation, bro. And I feel like when we've had conversations surrounding these type of topics, these have been some of our best shows. Just talking about manhood and masculinity, and maybe because I have an affinity towards that, it could just be me. But just a powerful show. But before we end the show, Duane, let our listeners know how they can contact you, whether it be email, social media, or even website information. How can they reach out to you, Bear, and connect with
Man,
you?
Man, first of all, thank all of you sharp, amazing, bald, black men.
Yeah.
Shout out to all my bald black
Shout
men.
Yeah.
Man, thank y'all for having me. I really enjoyed this
Yeah.
conversation. I pray that
It's
when
good.
this is when someone is watching this, that they hear the passion of the heart, the intensity of the message, and not the intensity of well, you know how people are. You know,
Mhm.
they shut down as soon as when they start hearing some level of truth, and it has some. So
Mhm.
I pray that whoever listens to this, you hear the truth and you hear the concern rather than you shut down from it. But you guys can find me on Instagram at D Williams with an S underscore JR. Okay, D Williams underscore JR on Instagram. On Facebook, it is just simply Duane Williams Jr. Duane Williams Jr. Email wise, if you are looking for me, well, my email and all that stuff is on my social media. So if you get on
Mhm.
social media, you'll find the email. You'll be able to reach out to me if you need to. So once again, I'm grateful for being with you guys today.
Man,
Thank
we
you for joining
appreciate your
us, man.
transparency, your
Absolutely.
authenticity, and just taking the risk of putting that
And I'm
truth
trying
out
to hold
there.
my hand up. And I'm trying to
We
hold
see
my
you.
hand up.
We see you.
Shout out,
They
shout
won
out
the
to
championship, by the way.
shout out to the 4-5 Eastside Raiders.
There you
Shout
go.
out to y'all fellas.
Yeah, I'm
But just
checking you out
appreciate you
now.
taking the risk to just put that out there. And I just put it like this, man. Let he who has ears, let them hear. Right? If
Yeah.
people are supposed to hear it and grab it, they'll do that. But for our listeners, this concludes another episode of The Lifeline with your host, BJE, Lindsberg, Petway, and Bo Powell. Don't forget to check us out at www.simplybje.com/The Lifeline and on social media. Look, we're on a mission. We want to bring light and life into your household, so join us and let us hear your feedback because it's all about bringing life to you on The Lifeline. Y'all take care.
Thank you for listening to today's episode with host, business expert, and life coach Bo Powell, social media influencer and entrepreneur Lindsberg Petway, and leadership coach and mental health advocate Barry J. Elliott. Join us next week for another impactful conversation on The Lifeline. God bless.